Hey everyone, you're listening to the Tea with Tanya podcast, and I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose. I'm a public health professional by day and your average tea-loving millennial and content creator by night. My goal for this podcast is to share public health stories, self-love and wellness tips to educate and empower and to promote positive living. This podcast is here to serve you. Join me in the tea tasting room to see what I have brewing for you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Tea with Tanya podcast, where we talk all things self-love, self-development, personal development. I'm sure you can hear the smile in my voice because I'm looking at this beautiful face right now. What up? Today I have a very special guest. She's back. She was here in season 1 and she's back today. And, my sister, my friend from across the pond in England, Tisha. She's back and we're going to be talking about, meeting each other or having friends via social media. And of course, a follow-up to being honest in therapy. Because as you guys know, if you listen to whatever that episode was in season 1, you'll know that she was the reason for me, or one of the reasons for me starting therapy. So yes, Tisha, welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here again.
Yes, and for those who didn't listen to the episode before, just tell us a little bit about yourself. And of course, if you haven't listened, guys, please go back and listen to that episode talking about mental health. But yes, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Tisha. I live in the UK. I work in asset management by day and I write by night. That rhymes. That was not intentional, but hey. It's just coming out. It's just oozing from me. And most importantly, I am a mental health advocate, hence why Tanya and I talk about therapy a lot. So that's me in a nutshell.
Right. So I want to talk about briefly, guys, because like I said, I consider her my sister and a friend. And for me, in the past, I've used the word friend loosely. Because, it's the easiest thing to say. I'm not going to say, oh, that's my acquaintance. Oh, that's my associate. But I've been doing better at saying that's an associate versus saying friends these days. But nevertheless, Tisha and I, fun fact that, like I say, I consider her to be a good friend, but we have never met in person. Like, we have never met in person. The goal was for us to meet in person last year, but as you know, the world went crazy and haywire since then because of the pandemic, so I didn't get to go to England. But she's here, and I want to ask her opinion, because for me, you hear about social media saying, oh, it's not real, or don't believe everything you see, don't believe the hype. The people that you talk to, they are not real, or there's no hope, in a sense, to make a genuine connection. And I saw a tweet a while back that said, yes, sometimes, not everything. People show us the glitz and glam of their life or the snapshot of their perfect life. But at the end of the day, the people, you can make money from social media. That's real. That's real money. You can network. I have done that on social media. And you can genuinely meet or make friends on social media, which case in point, Tisha. So what is your take, Tisha, as it relates to, social media not being all bad, but you can find some positive out of, meeting somebody on social media, even if you never met in person? What is your take?
I think social media is what you make of it. If you want your social media to be a highlight reel, then that's what it will be. If you want your social media to be a load of oversharing where you give people the ins and outs of your life like I used to do, then that's what it will be. And if you want social media to be a place where you find community and you make authentic relationships, then that's also possible. As you said, I consider our relationship genuine. I would also consider you a good friend, even though I've never met you. I think you're more genuine than some of the people that I do know that I have met in person. And I think the reason that we were able to build such a strong relationship is because we found similarities and commonalities in our life of what we were doing at the time, what our interests were, where we wanted to be, how we wanted to progress in life, what it is we were looking for. And I think that comes from both of us being authentic. Yes, we were blogging.
Right.
Even aside from that, on our Instagram pages, which is where we met, I think we're both able to show our true selves, and we were drawn to each other because we're similar in so many different ways and also very different in so many different ways. But that is the same for friendships that you make offline as well. So social media can be dangerous. You do have to be safe. You do have to think twice about what you're doing. But it is possible to cultivate genuine relationships with people if you are an authentic and honest person.
Right. And when I graduated to your WhatsApp, I was like, okay, you know what, this is a real thing. 'Cause, you know how it is these days. When you graduate to someone's WhatsApp or what is it, iMessage, you've arrived. But I do want to talk about social media and mental health because that is taking over the news recently. You have the Meta. I can't even keep it right now with the Meta Facebook. What it is? I don't
The
know.
metaverse, yeah.
Yeah, no matter, I have not even done any research or watched anything or read anything because I can't keep up. I can barely manage my Instagram, let alone having to think about what Mark Zuckerberg is doing with his life. But I do want to talk about social media and mental health because I know for me in the past I have I don't I don't want to say it necessarily affected my mental health, but I'm sure there was something that would have happened because for me when I fell out of nursing school at the time, social media was still growing. It wasn't what it is now, but there were still people on social media. I was in a very, very low and depressed state during that time. And I was seeing what was it, post or not post, but ex-classmates, they went on to be successful or they've graduated, they became a nurse. And here I am still, on that journey. So, you see that on social media or you see other people sharing their lives. You see other people talking about, oh, my boyfriend or my girlfriend did this to me, for me. There's just so many things that we see on social media. And I feel like for me, I found myself at one point, and I can admit that I found myself comparing my life to the people that I was following on social media, and I had to catch myself really quick. I mean, after a long period of time, because the brain works differently for everybody else, and you think that, oh, this person is traveling the world, this person has the perfect relationship, this person is doing X Y Z. This is what I should be doing. When in fact, all of our paths are different. But for me, luckily, I was able to pull myself out of it. I didn't really take a break per se. I know you're big on that, but I didn't really take a break. I had to tell myself, Tanya, all what you have is what you're supposed to have now, and you're going to keep working towards what you want and what you need. Because I feel like I'm very resilient and ambitious. But for you, tell me if social media has had any or play any role as it relates to your mental health, and what do you do? So for those of you out here, you can't take a break, or you can't because we can do anything. Never say can't, but who is struggling to differentiate between your real life and what you see in social media? Like, what do you have to say? Or any advice, Tisha?
I would say, to answer your first question, social media has definitely impacted my mental health in lots of different ways. I think the first example that comes to mind was when I was studying. So in the UK, most people do a 3-year undergraduate degree. I did a 4-year undergraduate and post degree combined, and I also did a year in industry where I was just working. So that meant that my friends had all graduated a good 2 years before I did, and I would be on social media, see people working, living a luxury lifestyle, buying the Gucci bags that they could now afford. And I was still living in student accommodation, eating imagination for dinner because I was broke and struggling and tired and had serious bags under my eyes. So I think comparison is something that we all do naturally, and it's something that you have to unlearn. I wouldn't say that I've mastered it by any means, but when I catch myself comparing, that is when I take my breaks. And Tanya led to this earlier, but I will take a break from especially Instagram, but social media in general for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I think the longest I've gone is about 4 or 5 months. And that just gives me a chance to reset and focus on what I'm doing, what my path is, what my journey is, and how I can move forward without any outside influences. But it's difficult. I mean, I've been on a break from Instagram for I think 3 weeks now, but I logged onto Instagram today because I had a few things to say. The way society is designed now is so difficult to be completely off the grid. And I think the only way to stay off the grid is if you've never been on it. My brother has never had any social media, so he doesn't really know what he's missing out on. He has no attraction or desire to be a part of this world. But for those of us that have been on Instagram for most of our adulthood, if not all of it, it's difficult to break away from that. So I would say it's important to cultivate a community and a feed that works for you. if you're worried about your body image, as I was, stop following all the Instagram models that have their BBLs. Even the ones that are naturally curvaceous, unfollow them. You don't need to see it. It doesn't feed into you in a positive way. If you're worried about the fact that your Gucci bag is from 2 seasons ago and everyone else has the new Chanel flap, then you need to unfollow the people or mute certain products or certain terms so that it's not constantly fed into you. I saw a tweet the other day that said we were not designed to know this much about so many other people's lives. And social media has connected us, which can be good in our circumstance where we've made friendships. It can be really bad when you're idolizing the lives of people that you don't even know. You're
Yes.
busting your ass. Can I say that? Sorry.
You should.
You're
Yes, you
working
can.
your 9 to 5, making your honest money, paying your rent, paying your bills, supporting ex family member, and you want to save extra money so that you can buy some nice Chanel stud earrings because you saw this other person that had it. For all you know, they're a drug dealer. And that's how they were able to fund their lifestyle. And maybe they make money in an honest way, but it's not a race between the two of you, and you don't have to compare. So I say you really need to look at what feeds into you, whether it's the books that you read, the music that you listen to, because media comes in all shapes and sizes, but especially the people that you're following on Instagram, and design it in a way that nurtures you. If that means, if you're struggling with your mental health, that might mean following pages run by therapists where they can share inspirational quotes or ideas or tips and tricks. If you're struggling with finance, rather than following people that are spending money, follow people that show you how to invest money, how to grow your money. There's so many small things that you can do to make social media a positive tool in your life rather than a destructive one. For me, it means just taking a break. I don't need to see all of that. But for some people, they need that dopamine, they need that hit that they get from scrolling. And so you just have to make sure that the things that you see when you are scrolling are positive and that they uplift and encourage you.
You know, I'm glad you say that because to me, like I said, I've been trying to take breaks for a long period of time, and my idea of taking a break is a day or two. You know, but again, like you said earlier, I had to like create the feed that I wanted to see. Like all these celebrities I was following, I don't follow them. You know, except for of course Queen Bee and Rihanna. I'll keep those them because they inspire me in a different way than most. Like when I think about their work
Yeah.
ethic and the things that they do, so that's why I still have them. But I had to unfollow a bunch of celebrities because I'm like, I told somebody, I said, you know what, like their drama is too rich for me. I can't afford it. I can't. It doesn't even make sense for me to be this invested into their lives because like what are you doing for me? You're not giving me a dollar of what you're making. You know, I'm basically keeping your lights on. That's what I told myself so I could just stop being in a sense obsessed. Like even my little sister, her name is Beyonce. That's how obsessed I was with the Queen Bee Beyonce. You know, I mean she lived up to her name, so we'll take that. But you know,
I love that.
There was a point in time where I was like, you know, the president of the Beehive. And I'm, you know, so because of growth, now I'm like, you know, okay, this is what she's going to do. You know, why is it that you like this particular celebrity? You know, and again, it's the work ethic and what they do. So again, you can create the feed that you want. You know, I'm following more self-help pages. For instance, your page, which we'll talk about again, the Smile Journal, like, you know, you sharing inspirational things on Instagram that, I'm like, okay, I can look up to, let me do, you know, these different tips that you're sharing. So again, it's all about finding that balance. Because of course, you know, nobody want to be social media. We say, you know, it's keeping us in contact with our families. I mean, we can just pick up the phone really and truly, but you know, that's just how some even be as close to your family member to pick up the phone, but you can see them on social media. You know, you can like, comment, stuff like that. But I do want to ask you, for those who are listening to this who may want to take a break longer than a day or two, like me, what can one do in that time? Because I feel like for us, like you say, it's like a dopamine. People don't. It's an addiction when it comes to social media. You get up in the morning, you're checking your phone. I had a bad habit of that. I had to put my phone on the other side of the room. I had to tell myself, you know what? At least you're not reading the Bible app. You cannot go on social media until you're done your morning routine. That's what I had to tell myself the last few months. You know, it's been working. I'm not gonna lie. Every now and again, you know, I slip up because I am human. But what can one do when you're taking the social media break? Because I think the thing with people, they don't want to be left out or they need to see what Mary Jane is doing. I mean, we don't really know what Mary Jane. Do you know Mary Jane? No, but still, it's just that, you know, it's that, I guess, that gratifying feeling. I don't know what it is. So what can people do when they decide, you know what, I need to take a break for a week, 2, a month, 6 months? What are some things you did or you can recommend for them to do in that time?
I think it's good to recognize your triggers. and to feed them in other ways. So I realized that I kind of just wanted to be in the loop with people that I knew. I didn't really care too much about celebrities. So I would keep certain social media. If I found that Instagram was more damaging, I would delete Instagram, but maybe I would keep Snapchat. So you don't have to go cold turkey. I think it's important to know what your limits are and to work towards them and be slow and steady with it. Another thing that I did was tell people that I was taking a break, because sometimes when you just disappear and you don't let anybody know, they send you messages, they send you memes, they send you videos, and then you have it in the back of your mind, oh, I need to go and check my Instagram because somebody might have said something really important. If you tell people that you're not there and they send you something, it can't be that important. You'll check it when you come back, if you ever come back. So I think knowing what your triggers are and feeding them in other ways, for me, that was staying on Snapchat as opposed to Instagram, and then also letting people know so that you have less of an urge. And if you're still struggling, set limits on, I don't know about Androids, but on iPhones, you can limit how much time you spend on certain apps and make it difficult to get back into it, as opposed to just saying, yes, give me 5 more minutes. Program it so that you need to put your password in every time so that you have more time to think about what it is you're doing, so that you can actually be intentional. Did you really need to see that this person got engaged? You haven't spoken to her for the last 10 years. You're not going to be invited to the wedding. The
Right.
highest thing you're going to do is like the picture. It doesn't add to your life. You might smile for 2 seconds, but you might also smile on YouTube looking at a video of babies eating lemons for the first time. There's so many other ways you can fill your time. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is pick up my phone, even though Instagram isn't there. But now I pick up my phone and I look at inspirational quotes, because that is what is on my homepage in the place of where Instagram used to be. So if you know that a trigger for you is that the first thing in the morning you get caught up in this, then find other ways to fill your morning that are equally fulfilling. You mentioned the Bible app. I read my Bible, well, I try to read my Bible every day. But I know that it's not the first thing I'm going to do in the morning.
Right.
I know that I can't scroll on the Bible app the way I used to scroll on Instagram, because the Bible app is not serving looks, okay? I need to know what type of wig Beyonce is wearing, and I'm not going to get that from the Bible app. But I think it's important to, like I said earlier, to know your limits and know where you stand and know what you're capable of. I still go on Instagram occasionally, but I do it from my browser. And that's very different from having the app. I have to open my browser, I have to type in Instagram, I have to log in every time, and I don't get any notifications. So once I realize that I've been scrolling too long and I'm supposed to be on a break, I can get off again. So to summarize everything that I've said, know what your limits are, but also know what your triggers are, and take your time with your break. You don't have to go cold turkey. You can gradually wean yourself off it.
See, I'm glad you said that, because in the back of my mind, I was like, oh my God, I got to release every single social media app that I use, because I don't necessarily use Snapchat anymore. I had to really push that because, like, it's too much. I can't. So I don't really do that. I keep the app still to record my videos when I'm driving. Guys, do not use it for while driving, but I'm just like, I put that disclaimer out there because you're not gonna say, "Oh, Tanya said no." But if I like a song, I'm gonna record it if I'm in traffic or I'm standing, so people can see me, dancing and jamming, because music really gives me life. So, I do like when you said not to go cold turkey and remove yourself from every social media, because again, pick your triggers, find other things that's going to be inspirational to you. But that's what I did. I had to remove myself, really remove some accounts from my Instagram. Like, what are you doing here? Why was I even following you in the first place? But back then when you're younger, you don't really know better. And as we are growing and we're evolving, we now realizing what is it that we want out of like our social media experience. So thank you for sharing that, Tisha. So I do want to shift gears a little bit before I let you go, because I know it's late over there. In my previous episode, I spoke about being honest in therapy. Now, guys, like I said, she's one of the persons that have been instrumental in me starting therapy. And I told you guys in the last episode that I don't think I've been as honest in therapy as I thought I was. Like, I don't even think I've been honest with myself as I thought I was. Like, no, when I'm thinking and I'm reflecting, I'm in therapy and I'm having different conversations, I'm realizing that I lie to myself a lot too. Like, it's not even easy for me to admit that on this podcast here, but I've been lying to myself about certain aspects of my life. And part of that was in therapy too. I'm not telling my therapist everything that I thought I was telling. If I'm telling her, I'm leaving out some pieces of the story for, fear of being judged. I'm a therapist now. We've created a bond to some extent where I don't think that she judges me, but for some reason I'm still holding back from telling her certain things out of fear. So for you, Tisha, I do want to ask, do you think, how should I put it? Have you ever, I don't want to say lied to your therapist, but have you like held back information from your therapist for fear of being judged or anything? Like, have you experienced that, and what have you done, and what do you think we can do? Because like I said, I recorded this episode 2 weeks ago, so I haven't had a session since then, which I have one coming up this week. But still, how can we fix ourselves if we're not being as honest with our therapist?
I think you have to remember your why. Why are you there? What are you hoping to gain? And how willing are you to participate in your healing and your growth? I recently got a new therapist, and it's been a lot easier for me to be open with her because we don't really have a strong relationship yet. But my last therapist and I had worked together for nearly 2 years. And towards the end, I was definitely hiding some things. And your therapist knows you, they have studied you. She could tell that I was hiding things. And so to try and bring those things out of me, she kept pressing and pressing and pressing. But those things were so difficult for me to deal with that I just left. Don't leave. Stick it out. Work hard. I think we have to remember that therapy is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be painful. It's supposed to ignite feelings that are difficult to deal with because that's how you're able to get through to the other side. So I'm not saying that there's any easy way to be open in therapy. I think you have to expect it to be hard and you have to work through that challenge because otherwise you're not going to grow. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your effort, and you're also building up more guilt because you know that you should be saying more, you know that you should be expressing more, you know that you could have progressed further if you had said those things. And guilt doesn't help anyone. Guilt doesn't save anything. Guilt is a pointless emotion in my mind. I feel like it's quite poisonous. It doesn't benefit anybody in any way. It just makes life harder. So why would you put that on yourself? So I think there's no straight or easy way to do it. Like I said, I was so scared that I ran away from my therapist and found a new one. But I think you just have to be open and honest with yourself about the fact that therapy is hard. I think because therapy is becoming so popular now and everybody's sharing all the wonderful things that they've learned, people are glamorizing healing.
Yes.
There's nothing glamorous about it. It's painful. Mm-hmm. It's really painful and it's really hard. I used to leave therapy feeling worse than I did when I went into it because I was doing so much work and unlearning so many things. And it got to a point that therapy became easy. And ultimately, that's when I stopped growing. That's when I stopped learning. And that's when I stopped healing. Now that therapy is hard again and I leave some sessions and I'm on the brink of tears, is when I know that I'm doing it the right way. Don't allow social media to fool you into thinking that therapy is where you can sit down and be hugged by a complete stranger. It does not work that way. They are going to prick and prod and stab all the pain out of you. Mm-hmm. So set your expectations and be honest with yourself and be honest with your therapist. It's the only way you're going to move forward. And for those of us that are paying for our own therapy, think about the Gucci bag that you could have bought with the money that you wasted in those sessions where you kept quiet and said everything was fine. Think about whatever it is you like to spend your money on and think about how you could have been working towards that instead of sitting in silence.
Yeah,
I had to. There was a lot of emotion in that because I was preaching to myself too. But yeah.
Well, you said that you switched your therapist when it got easier for you. So I do want to ask if you can answer this. How can one tell? Because I feel like I'm battling that right now. How can one tell when they need to change their therapist? And before you answer that, because for me, as you say, in the beginning, I was leaving my sessions like tired. In a sense, it's like, wow, this was heavy. Now I have to go and apply what we discussed in therapy. So that, obviously, because in the midst of going to therapy, you're trying to grow and better yourself and unlearn certain things and deal with your traumas, your past traumas. So, but now for me, I feel like therapy is becoming somewhat easier. Well, in my mind, at one point in time, I was like, you know what? I don't want my therapist to tell me, Tanya, just do ABC and my life is going to be great. And that's just not how it works. You have to put in the work. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I had to accept recently in therapy. Because I'm like, okay, yeah, you keep asking me these questions, you keep digging and probing and everything, and I'm trying to give you the information that's hard for me to even talk about. But I found myself like holding back again for fear of being judged, or just like I was kind of over it, to be honest. So how do we know if we need to switch our therapist, and why? If you can answer the why part of it.
I'm not an expert by any means. I can only talk on my personal experience. But what I do, and I've always done this, is after my therapy session, I'll write some notes about what was discussed, but mainly the key takeaways and what I learned from the session. And I realized that I wasn't learning anything new. And that doesn't mean to say that you're always going to learn something new, but I had spent about 6 months discussing the same topic and I wasn't making any progress. I wasn't moving on in my life. I was still stuck in the same place, and everything in my life had to change. The job that I was doing, the people I was seeing, the way I was spending my money, and also in turn the therapist that I had. So I think it's good to reflect on your sessions and keep note of how you're progressing and how you're learning and how your healing is working, because there might be times where you're in a really good place in your life and maybe you don't have a lot of trauma to deal with, but there's still going to be something that you can learn. There's still going to be something that you can reflect on and improve on. None of us are perfect. There's always going to be something we can do differently. And I think if you've reached a point where your therapist, where nothing is changing and they're telling you your life is great, there's nothing to do, they are wasting your money, you are wasting your time, find someone else. And maybe you need to take a break from therapy. I did that before I moved on to someone else. I took a break for about 3 months and I considered going back to that old person, but I was in such a state of renewal that I just wanted everything to be new and for everything to be fresh. And so I just found
Right,
someone else. And I think it's important to remember that therapy is a tool that you use and it's a service that is provided by someone. And even though you build a relationship with that person, you don't owe them anything. And I think your therapist would much prefer if you saw someone else and you were progressing than to stay with them and be stagnant.
right.
So don't ever feel like you can't move on or that you owe them your money and your time. You don't. It's a service. You can move on.
I love that answer, because I think for many of us sometimes, and it's okay, guys, to shop around for a therapist. I know
Yes.
someone who was seeing like 2 to 3 therapists at the same time, just to figure out, which one was a better fit. So or what they say is okay to date your therapist, and that's fine. Because I
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes we think, oh, we have to find a therapist on the first try, and that's not always the case. You know what I mean? So it's okay for you guys to shop around and trying to find to see who's your better fit. Like if you're trying to find a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, you're gonna date multiple men and women until you can find the right person. You can do the
Yeah,
same
I
thing.
hope so.
Well, I mean, you
Please do
should
not
be able to
stick with
do.
the first person.
Yeah, like they may be telling you something sweet in your ear, something that you like, and then you just go to the first one. No, it's okay to date around and try to make sure that you feel more comfortable talking or giving your life story to somebody that obviously you don't know, and they're there to help you. And as you said, Tisha, I feel like they've been glamorizing therapy. I'm happy we are, as a generation or a society, we're advocating and we're focusing on mental health, but at the same time, everything in this here world has become so glamorized now that what we're seeing on social media sometimes is not even like you say. There's a lot of hard work that goes into seeking, a, therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about starting therapy, be sure to consider and ask yourself, like teacher said, the why. Why you going to therapy? What are you hoping to accomplish out of therapy? You know what I mean? So like for me, like I said, I've been battling. Should I get a new therapist or not? It was like, no, I think for me, it's because I haven't been as honest in my therapy sessions is why I'm becoming more frustrated. So I just decided, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, I'm just going to be as honest as I possibly can. She's there to help me. Why should I prevent myself from getting the help that I need to become the best version of myself? So that's what I think. What I want for you, Tisha, before we go, tell us about your journal, the Smile Journal, and why we should. I mean, first of all, I can tell you why you need to write a journal. Let me tell you, she can tell. She can give her business aspect of it. But for me, I of course I'm going to support her. I bought the journal, and I honestly look forward to writing it every day. There's some scriptures. They're like it's like a well-being guide, a well-being guide,
And
self-development guide.
self-development guide. Yeah.
And it really is unlike any other journal that I've had. And you guys know I have a lot of journals. And it just, I look forward to writing it either in the morning or the night, because it does keep me how should I put it, abreast or up to date with my life and in tune. I'll put it that way for a much better word. In
Hmm.
tune with who I am and where I'm trying to go. And I'll be honest now. When I first got it, I was very consistent, but I've been for the last few weeks just inconsistent with many areas of my life, guys. I can admit that because again, before I finish saying what I'm going to say, life is meant to have ups and downs. And that's something that I had to admit and accept to myself. Making I want to be happy until someone asked me, Tanya, what is happiness for you? And I couldn't even answer that question in that moment to that person because it's like I keep saying I want to be happy, I want to be happy. But really and truly, what does happiness looks like to or for you? You know? So these are questions that we have to ask ourselves. So definitely, but this journal for sure, guys, anytime I'm having a day, I'm overwhelmed, this journal, document it. Like it does help to write your feelings out, even if it's not in, you can do it in that same moment when you're feeling overwhelmed, depending on the environment that you're in. You can even write how you felt in a particular moment at the end of your day too. So you don't have to go running for your journal every time you have a moment in your day because again life goes on, we are adults, we are working, we're in school, whatever it is, but take the time at the end of your day to write out how you felt. Why did I feel this way? What can I do to make myself better? What can I do to prevent myself from feeling that way? Because sometimes we put ourselves in situations that we end up being hurt or upset. Case in point, Tanya here, I do it all the time. So definitely it's okay to write your feelings out. But definitely tell us about your smile journal. And guys, I'll put the link to this journal in the description box and make sure you guys support Tisha because I'm telling you, journaling, again, that's something that's becoming more glamorized as well. But I'll just speak for that.
Yes.
I'm an advocate. It does work. It really does help. So if it's one thing that's going to be glamorized and I say is useful, it is journaling. But tell us about the smile journal and where we can find you and all of that.
Um, yeah, so the Smile Journal can be found on Instagram at the Smile Journal. So that is TheSchMile. Am I spelling this right? MileJournal. And the reason I created it was because I was in therapy, I journaled all the time, but I had friends that just didn't really understand what I was talking about and what the benefit was. And so I wanted to create a guidance journal that could help them with their self discovery, that would ask the type of questions that my therapist was asking me to help me discover who I am and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to be. But I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to create something that would also teach them about their mental health. And so I have pages within the journal that discuss different mental health illnesses and tips and tricks for how you can deal with them. Also incorporate self-care and again, tips and tricks for how you can do that in your daily life, as well as the self-development aspect of the journal. So it includes quotes from inspirational people to motivate you in your journey. It has sections for writing out your short-term goals and your long-term goals, in addition to a guide that teaches you how to create sustainable goals. It also has a lot of visualization exercises so that you can practice some of the key things that I learn about in therapy, which is just simply closing your eyes and thinking about where you want to be in 5 years, what aspects of your life you want to be different, how you want things to look, how you want things to smell, taste, feel. All of your senses need to be incorporated. There's also some CBT worksheets in there. So CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, and that is a form of therapy that focuses on how you think, what your thoughts are, and how you can change them to live a more healthy lifestyle. And then I also give a bit of background into my well-being and my experience with therapy and how I got to the position that I'm at now. So I essentially designed a journal that would meet all of my needs. And then I got feedback from friends and family on what their needs were and what they knew and what they didn't understand. And I was able to create something that works for people of all ages at all stages in their life, whether or not they've done therapy or they've journaled before. And I think what I love the most about the journal is that I was able to bring my faith into it. And it's not faith specific. There are
Yeah.
Bible quotes in there, but they are applicable to everyone. One of my favorite things about the journal is the prayer boxes, because sometimes I'm journaling about something and it gets really deep and it gets really heavy, and I turn to the next page and there's a box for me to speak to my maker. There's a box where I can write out the things that I'm sad about and crying about and ask for peace, ask for forgiveness, ask for healing, whatever it may be. My second favorite, or actually, maybe this is my favorite. I'm biased. All of it is my favorite. But I also really enjoy the blank pages in there. I have lined
Yeah, me too.
pages where you can write, and I have blank pages where you can draw, you can color, you can scribble, you can do whatever it is you need to do to express yourself. And I want this journal to be personal to the user. It's not a book that I've written to tell you about my life, and it's not a notebook that's specific to one aspect of your life, be that your career, your family, your relationships, your dreams and desires. It's something that looks at you as a whole person and helps you to understand who you are, why you are, and where you should be. So that is the journal. The website is currently down because we are preparing for Christmas, but it's undated, so you can buy the journal at any time of year and you can use it whenever. You fill in the dates yourself. And please, when you do buy it, if you do support it, make it your own and use it in a way that works for you. And if you aren't able to buy it, there's loads of content on the Instagram page where I share similar journal prompts, similar Bible quotes, prayers, tips, tricks, mental health advice. Pretty much everything is there. It's been inactive for a while because brainstorming and thinking of how I can improve things and make it better, and also just dealing with life. But there is content there that you can use, and it goes back for at least a year. So please use it and enjoy and be a better version of yourself, because there's always a way in which you can improve.
Yes, there's always a way in which we can improve. And guys, like I said, I can attest. I have it here. I'm actually getting ready to place another order because, I think I'm running through it faster than I could imagine or even thought of, to be honest. Because, like I said, journaling is just another outlet for me these days. There's TV, there's music, of course, there are friends, but journaling is something that I am consistent with, even when I'm not as consistent as I want to be. I am with one of my only constant in this here life. So, guys, make sure you definitely click the link below to support her. And yeah, Tisha, I'm just so happy that you came on here. I know we've tried this before.
Before we go, quickly, just one other thing.
Yes.
These people are not sponsoring us, even though they should. But there is an app. It's called the Shine app, and it was created by a Black woman and a Japanese woman. And it is the best well-being app I have ever used in my life. I don't journal without it. I literally do my mindfulness meditation and then I journal. Sometimes the mindfulness meditation will actually ask you to journal, and then I open my journal and flip to a blank page. So they can be used. Oh, you've got it. Okay. Yeah. They can be used together. I actually just upgraded to the premium version. I have no affiliation with this company, but I think it's an amazing tool that has been designed by us for us. And so if you aren't able to get the journal, please do get the app. I didn't create the journal because I want to make lots of money. I created the journal because I want people to be better. So if you don't have the money to buy the journal, you can definitely get the app. There's a free version and it's great. Now I'm done.
I might just put the link there and we're going to reach out because they're going to have to give us a sponsor or something.
They're going to have to.
Streets. They're going to have to, because, I've heard great things about them. And you have been one of these people that have been, you share a lot of things about them. So we'll see. We'll reach out to the relevant parties and see what we can do. But definitely, thanks for stopping by in the tea tasting room, Tisha. And hopefully, of course, I like to have you on again. We'll see what we can do for another season or whatever. Me.
I'm always willing to sit down and talk.
And thank you. With the time difference and everything, I appreciate it. And of course, guys, make sure you check her out on Instagram at the Smile Journal on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
For all your well-being, personal development, everything that you need there. It's like a one-stop shop for everything, to be honest. I'm not just saying that because I have her on here. I do look forward. So even though, like she said, she's been inactive for a few weeks trying to get everything together for the holidays, but for sure, I do look forward to what you guys post on your page. So thank you so much for joining me, Tisha. And of course, I will see you guys, in the tea tasting room next week, Tuesday. All right, guys. Bye.